Hello, everybody. It is Margarita here from the Conscious Wealth Institute. It is wonderful to have you here with us today. We have a wonderful speaker joining us. Let me just, excuse me, I'm just, hi, Nicola. There's
Hey.
Nicola Grace.
Hi, Margarita. Hi, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today. So everybody, we have, I'm just going to wait a couple of more minutes while we get everything ready and make sure that people have time to come online and join us. So we'd love to hear from you if you're live on the call. If you would just, there is a chat box you will see below the video. If you would just type in your details into the chat box, tell us where you're from, and say hi. And in the meantime, I'm going to introduce Nicola. Now, during the presentation, if you've got any questions, just use that chat box below the video to put your questions in. So, and we may not answer them directly, but we will get to them at some stage during the presentation. So in the meantime, here is Nicola, the Mission Mentor. Hi, Nicola. How are you doing today?
Good, really excited about what we're going to be revealing, because we've had some fantastic preview chats together about the material. So I'm kind of excited to see what's actually going to come out.
Yes, absolutely. This is a very exciting time in our evolution, and Nicola is a mission mentor, and she's been working with hundreds of clients over the last few years, and helping them to actually really get on mission and make plenty of money being on mission. So what she's going to share with us today is the truth about money and how to get on your mission and your purpose and make the money that you truly desire and deserve, because it has been a struggle for so many heart-centered people. And I know in my work, I work on the subconscious mind, and there's a lot of misconceptions about money that are holding people back. And that's what Nicola is really good at doing. So that's what she's going to be sharing with us today. So hi, Nicola. While we're still waiting for some people to come on, would you like to just give a little bit about a quick spiel about your background and how you came to be where you are and why you're sharing this information with us today?
Sure, I'd love to. I have a really eclectic background. I started out as a history major and went on to become a history teacher, and 6 months shy of graduation of both a teaching diploma and a university degree, I decided I wanted to go and meditate with the Buddhist monks in Thailand. So much.
Why does that not surprise me?
Much to my grandmother's disgust, I did exactly that. I dropped out of university and went trekking through Southeast Asia at the age of 20 and ended up studying Buddhism and meditation with monks. And all throughout my life, I have had this trajectory of working and my spirituality sort of running side by side, with more of an interest in the spirituality. So, you know, like I've been to London, I worked for Channel 4 television, I've worked in film, I've worked for Richard Branson's Virgin Records in London there for a while, just doing all sorts of little bits and pieces, really trying to find my feet, knowing that I had a purpose, but not really knowing what that was. And so I kind of floundered. I danced. I was a performing artist for 5 years, and ended up having a major experience when I had cancer in my late 20s, a major epiphany, a major transformation experience that took me into beginning to really focus on teaching transformation and helping people in their awakening, but not making any money for that. And I taught for A Course in Miracles International. So then I had my spiritual life and my teaching transformation life on one side, and then I had to do something different for money. So I started an internet marketing company. It was in the early days before Google was even a concept, and I made heaps of money to the point where I was leveraged for 3 years, didn't have to work for 3 years because money was still coming in, and invested in property and had a property investment company in the United States and did really well with that as well. And then it all came crashing down on me when I came back to New Zealand and started a business and went bankrupt. And I had to have this major soul-searching moment going, I know I've got a purpose. I know I've got a mission. How do I marry the two together? And they came together really beautifully when I helped the natural health industry. People know me this worldwide for this event. Helped the natural health industry of New Zealand create a mission strategy that beat back legislation that was going to form a corporation in Australia to regulate both pharmaceutical drugs and natural products together. So we all know what that was going to mean. And we, for 7 years, the industry weren't able to beat back that legislation. And in 6 months with my mission strategy, which is based on the laws of nature, laws of physics and shamanic principles and spiritual principles, we defeated the legislation within 6 months, which was a huge achievement. I got an award, made history, all that sort of stuff. But that was where I went, I want to be doing this all the time. I want to be doing things that affect change in the world, that really bring out human freedom and make social change so that there's more social justice. And so how do I monetize this? And over a series of years of volunteering my services as a mission strategist and then just going through the evolutionary process of looking for my purpose, it all just landed. And I went, wow, I'm the mission mentor, and I help people clarify their missions and monetize them so they can be helping me change the world. And that way, as an activist, all of these projects that I really love to be involved in, whether it's a mum that wants to change attitudes towards mothers who stay at home and look after their kids, or a banker who's wanting to shift the monetary system and work in a different, with a different currency. Like I have a huge array of clientele. They're all forwarding something that I really care about. So effectively, I have monetized my activism. And in the first year of doing that, I worked with a coach to help me put my structures together. We're going to be talking about that today. And I broke 6 figures within 10 months. And then and this year I'm doing really well. I'm on track to $500,000. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Okay. So we're going to how we can help people to do that, how you can help people to do that. And so let's get right into it as far as the conversation around money, because you and I both know that it's not the be all and end all. You can have plenty of money and be really, really unhappy, particularly when you're not on purpose. However, the lack of money and the way the money system is structured is causing a lot of people a lot of pain. And we've had lots of conversations around the conflict about money, and people really need it, but they really struggle to make the kind of money that they want. They might even be struggling just to get by, and it's really not fair. And you have a very unique perspective on this. So can you share with us what your perspective is and why so many people are so conflicted and why they're struggling so much with the energy of money?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing is that we've been fed a bunch of lies. There are a lot of myths, especially around spiritual people who are awakening and conscious about what they do in the world, and they're wanting to make a difference in the world. I think they've been fed a lot of myths, especially in the New Age movement, about what money is. And I think it's really important to know that there are myths out there. And it comes down to 5 things, basically. So for those of you watching, get a pen and paper if you don't have it handy, because we don't have a PowerPoint presentation for this, this live event. But I want this anchored into you so that you can be working on this, knowing that these are the things that you've got to get covered. So the first thing is you've got to start operating from principles, not myths. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what some of those myths are. The other thing is that they're not structured. Money needs structure. So if you think there is an ocean of abundance out there, which there is, universe is abundant, it's abundantly creative, things are always being created. So if you have all of that ocean of abundance coming towards you, it's just going to come into your energy field and it's just going to drop off you and it's going to go out, which is what most conscious people experience: money in, money out, because there's no structure. So there needs to be structure, and that's something that wealthy people know about. So they've got everything structured right. So when money comes in, it goes in all of the right places for it to grow and work. So it's not just money in, money out. The other one is not properly monetized. Monetization was the key to me breaking 6 figures in my first year in business, in my new business. So I've had several businesses, but that was the key. It was like getting the monetization model right. Now, monetization isn't just about, here's my service, here's my product, this is the price, you give me money, I monetize. That is not what monetization is. Monetization is about leverage. So if you don't have leverage in what it is that you're doing with your earning capacity, then you are not monetized. You are a wage slave. Even if you're in business for yourself, you're a slave to your business and you're paying yourself, right? So leverage is really, really important to that structural foundation that you've got. The other one is failure to understand how money is actually made. And I have a really interesting story of a dear, dear, dear friend of mine who I could never, ever get into her head how money is made. And she was wanting me to do all of these schemes, these internet schemes, get rich schemes. And she'd say, oh, if you invest $90 in 60 days, you're going to be a millionaire. And during my time of floundering, I actually have worked in the money industry. I worked for a merchant bank in Sydney in the stockbroking division in brokerage, and so I learned a lot about money. I deliberately took that job so I could learn about how money was made and how it's traded and how it grows. And so when people don't understand how the money system works and how it's made and how it grows, then they are vulnerable, firstly, to ideas and schemes that aren't going to make a return. So they waste a lot of time doing all of these things that they think are going to be easy for them to make money without putting the fundamental structures in place of that structure and then, a really good foundation. And so that's really important. And then the third one, the fifth point rather, is that you secretly hate money. And this is really important. This is what we're going to transform today. I secretly hated money because I really didn't want to work for it. The idea that we humans have to work for money to buy food and put a roof over our heads is evil. Right? That's what we believe. We secretly believe that, and it's bloody true, Margarita. It is evil. The whole money system is not a good system, and we secretly know that, and we secretly think that. So all sorts of beliefs are around that to go, well, we don't really want to get involved in the monetary system because it's collapsing, because it's evil, because it's not good. So all of these little secret thoughts that we might not know we have lurking in the subconscious mind are preventing you from even going on the journey. And the transformation point for me, we'll talk a lot about this today, was repurposing money and then being about my mission and my purpose, and then being monetized so that the money could come in. I had that structure. And I think that's the point of transformation for everybody today to make, is secretly we know the deal around money is not good, but we need it. And we want it, and some of us may love it, and some of us may love earning it. We're all different phases of our transformation. But secretly, we'd really rather not have to work for it. We'd really rather just get up, give of our talents, do whatever it is that we want to do to help humanity, to help the world, to help our families and our communities, and not have to worry about bills, and not have to worry about putting money in the bank and taking money out of the bank and giving money for food. We secretly really don't want to have anything to do with it. And that's where the point of transformation needs to take place.
Totally. I love what you're saying there and totally agree with you, because I think, the secret has been a revolution in many ways. The movie The Secret and the Law of Attraction, because that information definitely needed to get out there. But in some ways, I tend to feel that The Secret kind of played into the hands of the money system. Now, I don't believe money is toxic, and we've had this conversation as well, but I believe we both believe the money system is toxic. It's been created in such a way that we become enslaved to it. And I think The Secret, while it did release the truth, it also disempowered a lot of people in many ways, because the way they received that message was that, oh, okay, well, I can just sit back and do nothing, and so long as I'm in the right vibration, it will just come to me regardless, and I don't have to do anything. And I actually think that's playing into the hands of the toxic money system, and is actually a disempowering message, not empowering message, because it doesn't have to be hard, but you do have to do something for it. What's your take on that? And this idea that a lot of the New Ages sort of talk about money being spiritual.
Yeah, well, BS.
Oh, come on, Nicola. If people are going to be a bit touchy about it, let's just say it's bullshit.
Bullshit. That goes back to my first point, which is we have been fed a bunch of myths, and so many spiritual teachings out there give you a part of the truth but not the whole truth, and it's that other part of the truth that makes the difference. So with The Secret, and I don't like putting anybody's work down, you have to remember when Rhonda did that, there's only so much you can put into an hour and a half movie, right? So much of the information goes onto the cutting floor, because part of the idea of that movie is that it needed to entertain. So it needed speed, and it needed, because I've been in the film industries, it needed all this color. So, so we don't want to be putting bad vibes out there about The Secret. But like so many other teachings out there, half-truths, I think, can be dangerous if the buyer or the person listening to them doesn't understand that you need to go deeper. Here is a catalyst for you to inquire about the incredible power and creative power of the mind, but it's not everything. You need to keep going with your inquiry. You need to learn more about it. So I think that, how do I say this? I'm going to be blunt today, because we did say we were going to be candid, right? So we'll have the conversation.
If people are offended, then we apologize, but we need to say what we need to say.
Yeah, exactly. Because money was invented right from the start as a method of enslavement. So we know that. So this is why we secretly hate it, because it's tied up with slavery, and the monetary system is extremely toxic. But yes, I do. Okay, so let me get my wallet out. This piece of paper here, this $100 bill that I have in my wallet, this is a piece of paper. It's not spiritual. We can make it spiritual if we want to, but it's not that. It's not even energy. It's paper that has come together because of energy and consciousness. Now, the consciousness of this in the very early days was to enslave humanity, and it still is. The consciousness of this right now, because of the system that we've gone off the gold standard, and there's a whole lot of stuff, going on, behind our backs of the disenfranchisement of money. This is actually debt. Our government owes money to a federal banking system, which is now privatized, to print this. So when I say, I want more money, I want more money, I want more money, we are now saying, I want more debt, I want more debt. So the very first thing we want to be doing is in our affirmations is to take money out of the equation and start talking about resources and cash. It's like, I have all the cash I need to buy everything that I want. I have all the resources I need to live the way I want, because we're transitioning. So all of these affirmations are all about money. It's like, ooh. All these affirmations that we've got about money is like, shift the wording, because money at the moment is debt. Okay? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the thing is, you need to realize that while they're saying they want money, they don't actually want money. What they want is what the money will give them.
Exactly.
So
They want freedom.
is what you're saying. Think about the leverage that the money will give you, or the resources that the money will provide you, or the freedom that the money will provide you, or the nice house that the money will provide you. Don't necessarily focus on the money. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, yeah. And I had a really interesting epiphany about that a very long time ago. I did a course called Creating Wealth with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This was before he'd written the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And there was an evening event that we did where we had to go out and get an elegant meal. And I was one of the few people that ended up going to the top of the town for an elegant meal. We had to go out on the streets. We had to take our watches off. We had to take our wallets and leave them all in the room and go out onto the street. And at the end of the night, we had to come back to tell our story about how we had an elegant meal. Most people went out and begged for money. And they said, I need some money. Can you give me money? I haven't eaten, or I haven't done this, or what have you. And I went out and asked people if they wanted to take me out to dinner.
Were you wearing a short skirt and high heels at the time, honey?
I actually happened to be wearing high heels and hot pants. So
you would have had a lot easier job than everybody else, I bet. Exactly. You would have come back absolutely chockers.
Yeah. Now, it was a woman who ended up giving me the money to go out for dinner. By the way, we couldn't tell people that we were part of a seminar, personal development business seminar. We had to keep all that secret. But it happened to be a woman who went to the ATM machine to give me $100 to go and have an elegant meal, and I had it sitting went to the top of the town.
Wow.
Now, that was relatively easy for me because I am good at asking. What was difficult for me is that I'd never had a meal on my own. I'd never been out, and I was in tears when I got there. So I told all the waiters, hey, everybody, it's like, I've done this thing and I've never eaten a meal on my own. So, of course, I had all of the waiters and waitresses coming and serving me all night long. So the moral of the story is, they were beautiful. They just,
hilarious.
I had tears in my eyes. The moral of the story is that we need to start shifting in what we're asking for and actually ask for the real deal. What is it that you really want? Oh, I want a lifestyle where I can do whatever I want when I want. I can pay for my kids' holidays. Start mapping that in the brain, and then the way will happen, especially because we are transitioning in our monetary system. It's transitioning. So if you're building all of these matrices of beliefs around money, and then money's no longer a currency, you're going to be screwed and tattooed. But if we start thinking in terms of cash, because you need cash right now, or resources or experiences, that's going to carry a better vibration, an easier, faster vibration for you to bring in, what it is that you're wanting to experience.
Sure. Okay. So, but we still, all this aside, because we could, there's something called contributionism in the world, which is where communities get together and everybody's equal and everybody gets, there's no 9 to 5, everybody gets supplied with what they want. And that's like lovely. Won't that be nice when that happens? But at the moment, we are still in a reality where money is the currency of the day, and most of us are stuck in this money trap. So how do we get out of that money trap? And I know that the first step that you and I both talk about is about getting on purpose. So tell us more about that within your system and the way you work.
Well, I think getting on purpose is the most important thing. And even before then, repurposing money. What purpose does this have in your life? And for me, the purpose was, I want to make a lot of money, because some people don't want to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money so I can give to people that are really suffering. That's my whole thing. Now, I'm part of B1G1, which is buy one, give one. So every time somebody does a mentoring session with me, I give them a group mentoring session to some social entrepreneurs in a third world country to help them build up their community so that they don't live in poverty. So I have a different purpose for money. So now money's exciting to me, because this is sitting in my purse. This means I can help somebody raise their level of happiness. So I have a purpose for money that has given me some excitement around it. So that bypasses those secret little thoughts of I hate money, I really don't want to work for it. And it's keyed into my value system. You know, if you look at, Maslow's law of pyramid, most people listening to this are going to be pretty much at the top of the pyramid in terms of their consciousness. We care more about others. And so now that money has to do with what you can do to help others and how you're just this conduit for, for purposeful giving, then that's a lot more exciting, and it bypasses all of that other stuff. Now, I'm going to tell another really lovely story because it says everything. In 2012, all of a sudden, people started coming into my business saying, I know there's something I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. Now, prior to 2012, everybody was saying to me, how do I make more money in my business? What do I do for my marketing? All of that kind of thing. And then I had people in the corporations coming to me saying, gosh, I'm making a lot of money, but it has no meaning. What's my purpose? So it was like the switch got flipped, and all of a sudden people became more interested in what their purpose was, what their mission was, what are they here to do? They wanted more meaning from their money. So I did 1,000 consultations with people, mostly business owners, and then a section of the population were from corporations and jobs. And I started seeing that everybody had a mission blueprint. That on the soul level, I started seeing, because I'm an intuitive visionary. We didn't say that up at the beginning. That's a fancy name for psychic.
I love it.
So it's actually a bit more than that. But anyway, I started seeing these visions of these blueprints of people, and I'm going, oh my goodness, each soul has a blueprint that gives them a pathway to tap into the ocean of abundance, which is outside of our monetary system, right? This is purity here. Now, I have consulted with entrepreneurs in the Philippines and in Africa. They have the same blueprint. They don't have a blueprint for poverty, Margarita. Because
really?
No, here's another myth. Spiritual people say, oh, people who've incarnated into Africa, they're doing so because it's their karma to experience poverty. BS. I didn't see that. I saw that they have dreams and they have pathways to have those dreams come true as well. It's just our human system that sits on top of it prevents that magnificence from occurring. So I'm looking at this and I'm just going, wow, this is amazing. But then I stepped back and I looked at the main clients of that year that really stood in my mind, and I looked at what they were doing, what they'd gone on to find out what their mission was. We monetized that, off they went. There was a ripple effect. And when I just followed the ripple effect of everybody's mission blueprint, I saw world peace. It's like, here's somebody who is doing something seemingly not a big deal, like it's not changing the world in a big way, but the ripple effect changed lives, which changed the world. And that happened with every single person. And I saw this peaceful transition out of the monetary system that we've got right now into where, hey, listen, if I'm doing what I love and this is really purposeful for me and I'm really enjoying it, why do we need money? We don't need to track anymore. And I saw this really beautiful transition out of the system, just by really focusing on what your mission blueprint is and what your soul's plan for you is in this new transition out of the old earth and into the new earth. And that's why I became so dedicated to doing what I'm doing, because I thought, wow, if this is the divine plan for how we're going to transition out of this world of exploitation into world peace, then that's really the only work that needs to be done. That's really the priority that every human being has on the planet right now. What's your mission blueprint? Because that's your peaceful transition.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just want to digress for a bit and your comment on people in Africa. And I have been actually quite shocked when I've worked with people in Africa and these other countries, and just how entrepreneurial many of the traditional people of those lands are. And it blew me away. Their mindsets are actually far more entrepreneurial than many of us in the Western world. So just you know, going back to that myth about them having the poverty blueprint, yeah, that's that has been my experience as well. It's quite mind-blowing when you really connect with them and hear the way they speak, and they're all about abundance.
Yeah.
And
now dreams as well, because often in the West we say, oh, we don't want to go in there and help them, all this aid that we're doing, all this giving and all these projects, they just seem really happy without us. I mean, and we're bringing in our you know, our corruption. And I said, that would be true if you're building a McDonald's, but
yeah.
But they have dreams. You talk to those children and they have dreams. So why can't they get assistance to have those dreams come true? Because we get the assistance to have those dreams come true. So why shouldn't they? Which is why I'm really big on being a part of B1G1. So
absolutely. Now, do you see a difference between higher purpose, between our mission, between our soul purpose? Is there a difference, or are they all one and the same?
The way I see it, because everybody's got an opinion on this one, the way I see it, because this is the way I saw it on people's blueprints, is that life purpose is the big umbrella that contains lots of elements. So soul purpose, our soul is here to expand, and I know that Esther Hicks's work and Abraham talk a lot about the soul is here to have an experience for the purpose of expansion, and I've seen that. We all have the same soul purpose. We're here to grow, evolve, and expand. How we grow, evolve, and expand is through our individuation of our life purpose. And then life purpose, so therefore, if we're talking about growth and expansion, life purpose therefore incorporates your challenges, your talents, your skills, the major growth points in your life, your transformation points, as well as what you're here to do and what you're here to be. So there's lots of things that go into what your life purpose is. The mission, so we think of what's my mission, we think of doing, don't we? So the mission is part of your life purpose that pertains to what you've come here to do. Because as a being, you've come here to have a human experience, to expand, but you've also incarnated into a period of human history that's going to take that quantum evolutionary leap, like we do, we've done several times in history. So that means there's a role for you. You've got a role in that quantum leap. You're here to do something, which is why people come to me going, oh, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know what it is. Or they've been on purpose, but now they feel like there's something else. I'm not sure I'm on track anymore. I just feel like there's something else out there. Well, that's because you've got a higher purpose. It's the higher expression of your life purpose and your mission that's coming into your, filtering into your awareness.
Okay, so let's get into some real meat here. And because I know when working with people, firstly, sorry?
I said I'm a vegetarian.
Okay, well, let's get into some real potatoes here, because I'm a vegetarian too. So just happens to be a saying that I guess I latched onto. Okay, so for all you vegetarians, we're going to get into a lentil and potato burger right now. Oh. A really juicy one, because we're talking about purpose being such, or mission or higher purpose being such an important part of us monetizing our future. And I know when I work with people, the first thing I get is I say, what do you want? And they can tell me what they don't want. But very few people can tell me what they do want. My first thing is get clear on what you do want. But a lot of people also say, but I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm here to do. Or the other thing is I just want to help people. It's like, well, that's great. There's a million ways you can help people. How do you want to help people? So how do you suggest people get clear on their purpose, and how do you help to get people to get clear on their higher purpose?
My suggestion is work with an expert. It's what I did. And the reason for that is that I have discovered in my own process, as well as now having worked with thousands of people through the process I take people through, is that there is so much programming that prevents you from fully cogniting. So there needs to be a process that can drive through the programming, because programming can take, as you know, I mean, this is your work, programming can take forever to get rid of. So you need a process that's going to drill down through the programming to reach your soul, to reach the inner dwellings that, you know, within you, that really has a desire for something really specific. And I don't know of any other way of doing it. I see people who are trying to do it on their own, and they go, oh, I did this thing online, and I know my purpose is to put my finger in the air, stand on one leg, and channel red energy into the planet. Okay, great. How you pay your bills with that? I don't know. So that's all sounding really good. I just have no idea how you would integrate that. So they end up living their life in myth rather than principle. And the best principle that you could be going to is to reconnect with your soul, reconnect with your whole soul's reason for being on the planet, and come from there, because the principle of the soul's blueprint is your design for your life. It's your, and I don't know any other way other than working with an expert and working with a process that drills through the programming, but also working to undo the programming. I mean, in my program, the very first thing I do is I get people to do a clearing. It's like, go watch these videos, clear away anything. So when you come to my process of self-discovery, you're able to, you drill down into it. In fact, you've actually started that process, but you haven't completed it, have you?
No, I haven't. There's been a lot going on, Nicola.
I don't, but to be fair, you've just started it. So there's a process of self-discovery, I think, is where you start. And I just go, you know, like, work with an expert. If I hadn't worked with experts, I think I'd still be on a salary of about 45 grand right now. Because at that stage, I did not know how to build a business in the field of education that would make more than that. I didn't know how to put the structures together. I didn't know that. I knew how to do it in a bricks and mortar business with property, and then with my day spa that I owned, but I did not know how to do that in an education business. So I took 5 years out of my learning experience and 5 years of financial struggle out by investing and working with several people who knew what they were doing, had gone before me, and could show me the way. So I would go, okay, great, I'll just do this, and I'll do that, and I'll do that, and then bang, then I'm there. Yeah, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Working with a professional is essential as far as I'm concerned. It certainly has been the most growth I have ever made is when I've been working with a coach, and now I wouldn't be without a coach, because firstly, they pick you up when you're down, and particularly somebody who can get you from where you are to where you want to be and get you through that process a lot more quickly, because the person on the outside is much more capable of seeing what's going on with you, as well as when they've got expertise in a particular area.
Yeah.
And to just break through all those paradigms, all those structures. And it is absolutely essential. And
I think the key there is expertise, like, you know, like life experience. And in our industry, people are starting to tell their stories. Here's my life experience, because people want to know, hey, you've been where I've been, or you know a little bit about where I'm at, but you've broken out, so you must know something. You must have learned something. Rather than somebody who pretends to be an expert but has not had the experience of what it is they're teaching. Something that evolves out of people's pain or people's journeys is so much more powerful than some kind of an intellectual idea that then gets, you know, that's our old education system. So expertise is really important, because what I found is coaches and mentors, they save you time, they save you money, and they make you money faster. So if you're not working with a coach, if you don't value yourself high enough, you don't value your future high enough to find somebody that you resonate with and who's making sense to you to help you to the next level of where you're at, you are wasting your time, you're not earning as much money as you could be, and you're even wasting your money because money's getting invested in other things like a big TV or a holiday or something that's just going to be money in, money out, money in, money out, instead of creating a structure whereby further down the track you're going to have money coming in, it's leveraged, and then something else you're doing is going to buy that big TV for you, right? We can do without these things while we're building that structure. And I think that's really important. That was a big, big wake-up call for me. I woke up when I was in a seminar with Raymond Aaron from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and he said what working class and middle class people don't understand is that wealthy people hire consultants, coaches, expertise. They hire it, they pay for the expertise to close the gap between when they start doing something and when it becomes successful. And that is not what working class people and middle class people do, although that is now changing. With the whole coaching industry, they're cottoning on that if that's what people are doing to be successful, and I want to be successful, or I want to, have a decent standard of living, then that's what I need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the little known secrets because there are a lot of online educators out there. There are a lot of people selling money in a vacuum, I call it, whereby they say, well, if you plug into my system, I'm going to give you the ability to make 6 figures and 7 figures. And yeah, sure, some people are getting those results, but very, very few. So what are some of the things that you talk about that the little known secrets about generating the resources, including money, that these other online educators aren't actually covering for people?
Look, I think that is a really good question, because I get people who've invested thousands of dollars working with somebody else to brand them, and then they have to start all over again because it's not them. It comes from this intellectual perspective. So I think where I start people with, and this is if I was to just sum it up in a couple of words, the secret is tap into your mission mojo. So what do I mean by that? Your mission mojo, we all have mission mojo to achieve something extraordinary in our life. How we tap into that is by coming into a really depth of understanding and knowingness on what our soul primary expression modalities are. So these are methods of expression that tap us into an ability to do something extraordinary. So when I worked with the natural health industry to save them, I was just this flaky person who, meditated with Buddhist monks in Thailand. I worked in the finance industry and just happened to be naturally talented at putting a mission strategy together. How come they listened to me? Because I tapped into what my expression modalities were. I expressed myself in such a way that the naturalness of my genius came out that I didn't even know I had. And everybody has that naturalness of genius. So when my first self-discovery process, before we do anything around your purpose and your mission, is to discover what are those expressions. Because when you express yourself this way, you're tapping into the magnetic blueprint of your soul. Because when we talk about manifestation, we talk about the mind mostly, or frequency. You've got to have the mindset, the beliefs, the frequency. But nobody is teaching, except for myself and one other person I know of, nobody's teaching that the soul's template is also magnetic. So if you're trying to make something happen from an egoic perspective and it's not on your soul's template, you may or may not have it happen. And if you do have it happen, it's because you've worked your butt off and it's been difficult and it's been challenging. But when you tap into the magnetism of what it is you're supposed to be doing in the first place and how you are supposed to be in the world, how you're supposed to be expressing yourself, that gives you the greatest clarity of direction for just about everything in your life, not just what to do in the world, but like it just all of a sudden your life really starts to begin to make sense.
Awesome. Okay. So what do you then do to create a life of meaning and purpose and with peace around money? I believe you have a 5-step formula that you're going to share with people.
I do, and before I talk to you about that, you can also get I've got a PDF that you can download all the 5 steps, explains, and then there's some videos, and there's a video there that will also mentor you through that process of beginning the discovery of your primary expression modalities.
Is that your free gift that we have for people?
consciouswealthinstitute.com/.
Nicola. So I've actually put it up on the screen for everybody at the moment. To download Nicola's free gift, you go to consciouswealthinstitute.com/Nicola. I'll leave that up for a few seconds, Nicola, while you explain to people what this 5 process is.
Yeah, as I said, you can download the PDF there. There's also an audio of me describing all of the 5 steps. But the first one is to find what it is that you're, to clarify your expression modalities. We all have about 5 to 8. So when we know all of them, we can synergize them, and they will give us a very clear picture of whether or not we need to be in a business for ourselves, whether we succeed in a business for ourselves, whether we need to work for somebody, what industry. It gives us so much information, and then that forms the basis of discovering more about your purpose and what your mission is. So clarifying that expression modality. And then locating your mojo is step number 2. Locating your mojo is finding out what you're here to deliver in terms of your message. See, we all have a way of communicating, which means there's something we want to say. There's a message that we want to give. So whether or not you're going to be a messenger, or whether or not you're going to be something else, you still have a message to deliver. You have something to do. You have a mission to do, something here that you're supposed to be doing. A message, mission, and then where within you is your greatest natural talents and skills and what have you. You bring that together, and that's called locating your mojo. You find where that magnetism is for you. So when you go out to build whatever it is you're building or the job you're looking for, you begin to naturally magnetize things to you, and magic begins to happen. I see this with my clients all the time. It's happened for me too. All of a sudden I got on my mojo, and it's not that things were easy, because challenges are part of our life purpose, but they were certainly, the struggle was eliminated. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is the structure. It's all about what are the basic building blocks for creating that leveraged income, or I call it, how you align to the leverage of building I call it a social business, or you might be working for somebody in a social business if you want to help people. So that is really super, super important. What is that structure, and how are you going to monetize? How are you going to get leveraged? Then step number 4 is all about aligning to the easiest point where you start. I call it the now money now. Now money now needs to be handled. How are you going to handle, I need money now so that I can not only build my business or transition out of one job into a business, or whatever your transition is, but you need to eat, buy food, buy clothes, and all that kind of thing. So how do we get that handled? That has to be handled first. And a lot of people aren't teaching this, Margarita, and I know you know this because you've done their coaching programs. They go, let's sell to high-end people and build a business where you're only selling to high-end people. And firstly, the values around that just make my gut go, yeah. But if that's somebody's purpose, then I'm fine with that. But it's not for everybody. And it's a long time before you'll ever see return on your investment. So when people work with me, I want that 4-step handled. So a lot of people even make their money back within the first week or 2 of doing the group mentoring program that I do with people, because I get them focused on now money now. It's like, I don't only want you getting your investment back really quickly with the mentoring that you're doing with me, but I want it to continue as well. So it doesn't happen with everybody, because it's going to be dependent on what your actual situation is. But usually, like I'm really big on that as a business owner. Money out, time that the money comes back from investment, that gap's got to be really short for me, right? I'm not interested in long gaps. It's got to be, if I'm going to invest in advertising, the gap between when the money comes back is got to be really short. And I like that with my clients as well. Step number 5, you'll love this one. It's all important, and that is you got to remove resistance.
Yeah, totally.
I work with you. I love the work that you do. I'm often calling Margarita going, oh, I need help. I mean, I work with healers from all over the world because I can't just work with anybody. I've got to work with people who've got the same, if not more, level of consciousness with me. And Margarita, I have to say, whew, she can just get you in and out really fast.
Oh, thank you.
I do not let that shit hang around for longer than a second. If I need to call somebody and book in a session with somebody, I will. If I need to journal what's going on and I do my own belief clearing work, that is what the key to success is you constantly need to clear away the resistance, because every time you take a step in a direction that is different from an experience you have right now, your subconscious mind safety zone kicks in to try and pull you back into that safety zone by throwing up resistance. So resistance is always going to be there. It's just that you don't let it stop you. No. You keep moving. And that's step number 5, remove resistance. And as I said, I've got videos that explain all 5 steps in greater depth, talk a little bit more about how I work and how you can work with me. And I've got a PDF that you can download at consciouswealthinstitute.com/Nicola, Nicola.
Yes, I'll just share that for a moment again, because I thought I put it up before and I didn't. So there it is again. And I love hearing what you're saying, and we do work very well together. I often come to you for help as well when I hit a roadblock, or some days where I've just crashed and gone, oh my God, I really need somebody to drag me out. I'll call Nicola as well, so we do help each other quite a lot. But we teach this stuff and the stuff that we do so often, and people love hearing it. We've both got quite a big fan base right around the world globally. Why do you think people don't actually prioritize their purpose, their mission, their higher purpose, and actually take action on what it is that we teach? What is your perspective on what holds people back from taking that critical step and taking the action that they need to take to get on purpose and monetize their mission?
That's a really great question, and I could answer it by saying there are 5 things. So I'm big on the number 5 right now. But it really comes down to this. You don't value yourself enough. You don't value your life enough to make it the priority. So you let life dictate to you how life is going to be, rather than taking charge because of this lack of value. For me, I don't have a choice anymore, because I know what it looks like to face death. As I told you, when I had cancer, had it twice. First time was with leukemia in my late 20s. I hit 30 and it was like 6 months to live. And the day I hadn't told my family, and I had to call my mum, and sitting in my bed, and I'm just finally going, okay, great, this is serious enough that I actually need to start making some phone calls. And as I'm going through my head how I'm actually going to pick the phone up and call my mum and tell her, because her parents were dead, her husband had died, my dad died in a very tragic accident. Her firstborn and only daughter might not be around in the next 6 months.
Wow.
And I lost it at that stage. I completely lost it, and I was howling and howling. And then in the depths of my howling, when I thought I couldn't hit bottom anymore, this thing came out, this voice, this beautiful young girl's voice came out from my heart. It just went boom, and it just came up into my ears, and it said, "But I haven't done what I came here to do yet. I don't want to die."
Wow.
And then I went beyond bottom. I just went beyond bottom.
Wow.
And there was just nothing but blackness in my mind. And I went, I've come here to do something. And all of the regret of just floating around and letting life dictate to me flashed before my eyes. All of the opportunities I had to do the things I really love to do that I had just frittered away, just flashed before my eyes. And the regret that went searing through my body was the worst pain I've ever had. I started screaming so it could get out. So I got over that, obviously, because that happened over 20 years ago. and I dedicated myself to my purpose and making my purpose the most important thing. Because up until that point, I didn't realize that purpose is actually life force. So when we're not purposefully doing something, we feel a bit bleh, right? But when we're driven and we're purposely, we've got life force coming through us. And that moment I realized, wow, my purpose is intricately woven into my life force, which is happiness. So if people are prioritizing their happiness, then prioritizing their purpose, they're not prioritizing their happiness or their life force. And this is why we have an epidemic of depression, because people are working in jobs that they don't want, and they don't value themselves enough to just push past all of the resistance and go, this has to be a priority because this is my life. And I might not feel like even though I don't love and appreciate myself, I'm still going to, follow my purpose, because I know that that's what's going to bring me more love and appreciation for myself. Even though I don't, I'm going to push past that resistance and make it a priority, because it's my life and I deserve it. I deserve to have that joy. I deserve to have that fulfillment. I deserve to, to take that really beautiful journey of living a life that's just filled with, with vital life force.
Okay, Nicola, I have a really important question for you, because I've never actually heard you tell the details of that story, and that out of you telling that story, I've got a really important question for you, because you reaching your decision to follow your life purpose, to even understand that you had a life purpose, meant you had to go below rock bottom. So my question is, how, and this is what I'm hearing. Okay, I'm trying to process this as I'm thinking about it, so please excuse my faltered words. But I know a lot of people who do extraordinary things after they face death, or they have some life-changing event, or things get really tough and all of a sudden they have a wake-up call. For God's sake, please tell us that we don't have to go below rock bottom and have this massive wake-up call and face death before we finally get into our power and go, screw this. I am not playing that game anymore. I am on mission. I am doing this. Get out of my freaking road, because I'm done. I'm done with all the old shit. And I'm doing this no matter what. How do we get to that point without going below rock bottom or without facing death? Please.
Well, I think those of us that have hit bottom and gone beyond bottom and faced death, we're the dummies.
Oh, speak for yourself.
Tap on the shoulder. You get the tap on the shoulder, like, your soul comes in and it taps you on the shoulder. It goes, psst, Nicola, you've got something to do. And you go, stuff it. I'm just going to flit, and just, get so involved in the distractions in my life. I'm not going to listen to that. So then you get kind of like a bit of a nudge, and it goes, psst, Nicola, you've got something to do. And you just go, nah, look, everything's good and I'm going along nicely. And then you get a bit of a shove. So we get lots of warnings. So if you're smart enough to hear the calling and answer the calling when it's given, you don't have to hit rock bottom. It's just the dummies that don't listen that have to go through go through. And if this has happened to you, like I'm being tongue-in-cheek, I know that you're not dumb, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's like, oh my God, why didn't I listen earlier? Why didn't I listen to the first time I heard the calling? And Margarita, I believe right now that humanity is at a really pivotal moment, that each and every one of us really needs to be stepping up big time into what our purpose is, because that's the plan for the peaceful transition out of this fascist corporate dictatorship that we are increasingly living under. And we can't turn a blind eye to it anymore, because it's getting critical. It's getting super, super critical. So I think that you can learn from other people's mistakes. So dummy leaders like myself going through the process and then leading others to say, hey, listen to the call the first time, because you will save time, save money, and make more money and help more people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
do it sooner rather than later, because that is the divine plan for getting out of the mess that we're in right now. And if you individually don't value yourself enough to play your role in that, then what happens is if wherever we're not in control in our lives, something or someone controls us.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm hearing is that I think so many of us, we just think, oh, there's plenty of time. We have this, if I don't do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, or I'll do it next month, or we want it now. But the actual taking action, and the people who have actually had this massive shove from the universe, it's kind of like, well, actually, maybe I don't have that much time. Maybe I don't have till next year or the next 5 years, or maybe I need to do it right now. And you are so right. Our humanity is on the precipice. As an Eckhart Tolle says, we either evolve or we die. Well, we're kind of running out of time on this planet because of the damage that we've already caused to ourselves, to the planet, Exactly. So, and
it's more than that, Margarita, because Roger Hamilton, who's a visionary that I follow, one of my mentors, says that there are 12 purpose-driven industries that are replacing 12 industrial industries. And now we've got the 3D printer. In China, they're printing houses with 3D printers. We've got they're printing titanium. So what's that going to do to the mining industry? We've got robots that are just waiting to come off the assembly line. I promise you this, there are going to be massive layoffs and ripple effects over the next 4 to 5 years. So if now isn't the priority for you to make sure that you're monetized in the new economy that's being born, then unfortunately you end up becoming like somebody in the Industrial Revolution days of living on the street. And that is happening here in Australia. We're lucky that that's not happening to us, and we might not see it so much. But I get, like I had a lawyer come to me, been on the streets for 2 years, living on the streets. We don't hear that in the media, but it's happening, and I'm talking to those people. That's been happening in the United States for a while. It's all kept under wraps, so the media is not showing us the true depth of the pain and the devastation and the suffering that's going on out there. And I don't think we need to transition that violently. I think we can transition peacefully. So, now is the time. And just on that note, for those of you that are resonating and, you want to jump on board and talk to me and about working with me, you can head on over to the link that's below me, nicolagrace.com/MYM, which is Monetize Your Mission. And you can see the group mentoring program that I've got, which is you and me working together very closely for 5 weeks to get you clear on your mission and monetize accurately and then beyond some resistance. There's lots of different ways you can work with me. And I think there's also a button there where you can book a discovery session. So if you're not sure, you're resonating, but you just really want to have that heartfelt connection with me, then you can book a discovery session and talk. We're starting now. We've got people that are going through the very first self-discovery process, which helps you clarify your 5 to 8 soul expression modalities that tap you into that mission mojo. And then the first group call is next week. So you don't have time to jump on board. And this is probably going to be the final one that I'm doing. It is the final one I'm doing this year, but I'm training people to teach this method. So this is probably going to be the last time you'll actually get me in the group. After this year, you'll need to just work with me one-on-one in order to get that work done. So this is the last time really that you're going to get the opportunity to work with me at this level. And the reason for that is I need to duplicate myself to get this work out far and wide. So you'll see what it involves over at nicolagrace.com/MYM. And usually I get people who really resonate with me, and the people that take action right away are usually the ones that make their return on their investment really quickly, because takers, they just get the results. And those that sort of tend to put it off, usually life gets in the way and they've lost all that opportunity to really get ahead in not controlling the situation and getting your life circumstances under control. But I think it's a good time of year to do it. beautiful on the tail end of this X wave that we've just had come through. So it's perfect timing from a number of angles for those of you who are, you know, really resonating with wanting to work with me and wanting to have the discoveries and just get on with what you're here to do and really feel planted in your reason for being on this planet right now.
Yeah, so again, that link is on your screen right now. It's nicolagrace.com/MYM. And I just want to reiterate that although we're talking about, you know, we've got to do it now and la la la, Nicola and I, neither of us come from a place of fear. So a lot of marketers they'll use scarcity and fear to get you to buy. And that's not where we come from. This is your choice. You can choose to do it now or not. But the reality is that we are at a critical time in our conscious evolution and in the evolution of the planet and in our transition. I mean, the stuff that Nicola and I have been talking about and sharing online about what's been going on just in the last 6 weeks. If you've been feeling any sort of shift or upset, or I've actually backed wide away from my business in the last 6 weeks because I've just been emotionally, I felt like being in a washing machine. And that's because of all the cosmic energy that is shifting and the opportunity for us, the people who are heart-centered entrepreneurs, to really step up right now. The opportunity for all the people who are on this call and who follow Nicola and myself is just extraordinary. The things that, and I want to respect everybody's time. I know we're 5 minutes past the hour, so we are going to wrap it up. But they're talking about even major entrepreneurial groups that I'm involved in are talking about disruption in the industry. We've seen Uber come in and disrupt the public transport industry. We've seen Airbnb come in and disrupt the hotel industry. We're seeing disruption all over the place. We need to be much more creative and investing. It gets right under my skin that our government in Australia, let's not go down that rabbit hole for too long, but that our government in Australia talks about, but you know, the mining industry is so important to our economy. Crap! Get rid of the mining industry and use your bloody innovation and some creativity, because there are plenty of burgeoning industries out there just waiting. The fruit is ripe for the picking, and that's what we want to help you guys with right now. So what do you say to that, Nicola? What would be, we'll go to some questions in a minute. What would be your final parting comment on all that?
I think you've raised a really important thing, because out there are people that are fear-mongering and putting in ploys to get people to buy now because they're all about making money. And I struggle with that from the perspective of, I'm an intuitive visionary. I put a strategy together to get somebody into Parliament, so I'm on the inside of what's going on. I work with people in the banking industry. I work with people who are in the mining industry, executives that are getting out and re-educating themselves because they know they're about to lose their jobs. And this is being filtered out to the masses. So how do I get that information across to you that I'm on the inside and I'm telling you big shit's coming without it being fear, because all the big guys know it and they're talking to me about it, and they're working with me to make sure that they're not going to fall down the hole when the cavern opens. So how do you get that across? How do you get the urgency across without motivating people in fear? And I just bring it back to resonance. If you're resonating with wanting this beautiful, joyous, wonderful transition in your life where you're fully engaged and passionately involved in helping others and creating a better world and making this place just the most magnificent, wonderful, joyful place to be on earth, and you want to get paid to do that while we still need the cash coming in, then this is the time. It's not about, you're making the decision based on resonance, not based on fear. And I think it's really important. Yeah,
absolutely. That's critical. Absolutely. If this feels right, then explore doing something about it. And now would be a really good time to put some questions in. So I've just brought up the chat box. I've been so engaged with you, Nicola, that I haven't even looked at the chat box. So my apologies for not acknowledging the people who said hello. So hello to Mina and Clayton and Debbie. within Queensland, and Oceana from Canada. Hi. And Tamina has asked, so while you guys are thinking about potential questions, Tamina's asked, what does B1G1 mean?
B1G1 means buy one, give one. And you can go and see it at the letter B1 G1.org, and it's an organization where entrepreneurs who have got successful businesses give back to the community. So we belong, we pay to belong. I'm a life member of B1G1, and every time something money comes into my business, I tithe percentage to their organization, and they match that money with all these different charities that I want to support, or projects of sustainability and entrepreneurship around the world that I want to support. So anybody buying anything from me, a portion of the profits go to B1G1, that then distributes it for people to buy water, or women to become self-sufficient and sustainable in their villages, or for whatever projects that I'm putting towards. So it matches entrepreneurs and business owners with foundations and charities that are doing something to create a better world, and puts it together to accelerate raising the bottom on poverty.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, we don't have any other questions coming through right now. So finally, tell us a bit more about your Monetize Your Mission program. When's it coming up? What do people need to invest? And if they're not sure if it's for them right now, what can they do to find out more about it?
Cool. Well, I think the first thing is you can go over to nicolagrace.com/MYM and have a look at what's involved. It is a 5-week, it's actually a 6-week mentoring program. It's starting now. So you log in and you can start right away with your first self-discovery process, and then next week we get together on a group call. But there's also mentoring with me personally via my coaching program. So you answer all these questions and they get sent off to me, excuse me, and then I log back into the coaching program to answer them. So it's very interactive. That's the group program. You also get an option to work with me one-on-one for an hour every week. And in that option, you get to go in much greater detail on your purpose, much greater detail at every level. And I'm starting to help you build what comes next as well, because we've got more time to work together. So the group program's really all about the self-discovery, putting your business model together, teaching you how to remove resistance. And if you choose to work with me on a one-on-one basis, as well as going through that program, you just get so much more depth to the point where you're actually up and running at the end of the 5 to 6 weeks in what that you need to do. As far as the investment is concerned, it's only $950, and that is American. I'm in America with my pricing on that one, because I get mostly Americans joining. And then if you wanted to work with me one-on-one, I think it's $2,500. And there's also some really special things that come with that as well. So you get lots of bonuses that are going to really help you maximize your success and move you forward, both in terms of how much money you're making, as well as being joyfully and meaningfully engaged in work that's making a difference in the world.
Okay, so to find out more about that, go to nicolagrace.com/MYM. It's on your screen right now. Nicola, if they have any questions after this, and if they're listening to the recording, where could they go to get in touch with you?
Well, it's easy. You've got on the MYM page, there's a discovery thing there. You can book a discovery chat with me, but also the free gift offer that we've got at the consciouswealthinstitute.com/Nicola. Is that right? That gets you into my email system. So you'll get an email with me where you can download the PDF of my 5-step formula, and you can just hit reply, and then that comes directly to me.
Okay. All right. So I've just actually put that on the screen now. So it's consciouswealthinstitute.com/Nicola. So that's up there right now. Okay, Nicola, we are already 15 minutes past the hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. There's no questions coming through at this point. what would be your parting wisdom for our, and thank you to everybody who's been on the call today and everybody who's listening to the recording. But what would you like to say to people just as a parting piece of advice?
I think the parting piece of advice for me, and this goes back to the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, is don't live a life filled with regrets because you think you're not good enough, you can't, you don't deserve it. It's like, of course you're good enough, and of course you deserve it. You deserve whatever you want. Just like that's just all programming that we've bought into. And just whatever that first step for you is to take the journey, is to really find out the deepest significance of your aliveness, why you're alive on the planet. Just take the first step and then take another one and another one, but begin that journey because it's one of the most joyous journeys that I've ever taken. And that way you don't get to live a life of regret because at least you're moving towards something.
Yeah. Absolutely. Guys, there is nothing more fulfilling and rewarding than being on purpose, being on mission, doing what you came here to do. And the reward of that in and of itself goes way beyond any material reward. And, you deserve that as well. We all do. But just being on purpose, being on mission is so, it just fills the heart, fills the soul, and really makes you feel alive and come alive. So if you do feel drawn to work with Nicola, go to nicolagrace.com/MYM and have a look at that. But thank you so much for being with us today, Nicola. I just love being with you, talking with you all the time. And it's such an honor to have this time with you and to be able to call you one of my mentors and friends. So thank you so much for spending time with us.
Brilliant.
Thank you again, viewers, for giving of your time. We are so incredibly grateful that you have chosen to spend your time with us because we know how precious it is, and we look forward to helping you in whatever way we can in the future. Take care, everybody. Have the most awesome day, and we will see you again soon. Bye. Bye, Nicola.